Let's go. Today we are going to celebrate not one, but two of the most LSU Tigers. I know that didn't make sense, but I know these two players are about to go to the NFL draft. But starting off here with Jaray Jenkins, I want you to watch this route. A little skip to my Lou to the left, baby. Jaray, the man, has a family. And Jaden eventually found him in the back of the end zone. Okay, let's run it back. We got to run it back, baby. We got to celebrate Jaray motherfucking Jenkins. One more time, Jaray, show this to every NFL draft scout. 1 second on the clock. Do or die play. You're the fourth option here, and you create so much separation with that nasty move to have a patented Jaray Jenkins clutch tutty. So we're going to talk about Jaray. We're going to talk about BJ Ojulari. Subscribe, ring the bell. Jaray and BJ have meant so much to this team. But really, when you think about guys that have done things the right way, when you think of guys that are true leaders, these two guys are those two guys, right? And I want to start off here talking about Jaray Jenkins. Look, when you discuss the LSU Tigers, and when you think of LSU football, you think of what? Louisiana, right? And honestly, what the framework of LSU football has basically been is Louisiana 3 stars, right? Now, the 4 and 5 stars are the ones that do eventually win you national championships, but the 3 stars are the guys that put you over the top. Those are the guys that are the happiest to be there. And what I want to do today, talking about Jaray here, is share how much this guy actually had to overcome to even get to where he is right now today, right? Number one, as a 3-star recruit in the same recruiting class as freaking Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase, he still decided to come to LSU. Both of those guys still ended up being studs, and guess what? He still stuck it out with LSU and waited his turn and was super patient. And for 3 consecutive seasons, not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive years, Jaray Jenkins was doubted and slept on. Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you right now. So we hope you subscribe, ring the bell. So, Jaray Jenkins. You know what's really interesting, and we talk about, and I hate that word is used so much, and athletes use it all the time. Well, you are slept on, right? You are someone that no one believes in. And honestly, Jaray Jenkins for 3 consecutive seasons at LSU was exactly that. He was truly, truly slept on. Before 2020, when Jaray Jenkins became one of the best players on our team, guess what? No one was talking about Jaray Jenkins being one of the best players on our team, right? He was like the 7th wide receiver on the depth chart. Terrace Marshall, Eric Gilbert, even Kayshawn as a true freshman, Trey Palmer, Devonta Lee, all those guys rated ahead of Jaray Jenkins. And all that guy did was, in the very first game versus Mississippi State, seized his opportunity in his new number 10 uniform. Then Jaray Jenkins, after that, continued to produce. In 2021, he was slept on again, right? And guess what? He became the 2nd leading receiver on the team, only behind Kayshawn. Now, Jack Besh's numbers in 2021 ended up being quite similar, but let's be honest, when it comes to clutch game-winning catches, such as the one in the backdrop you just saw, there have been few that have made them quite like Jaray freaking Jenkins, right? As you guys have seen, he had one in 2020 versus Arkansas in the 4th quarter in the rain with TJ Finley, the backup there. And then in 2021, he had the touchdown versus Florida, and then he had the touchdown here, and then the touchdown you saw at the beginning of the game would have tied the game, but we won't talk about what exactly happened. So after that. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, I just freaking love Jaray Jenkins so much, right? I did so much content before the what was I going to say? Before this season, before the 2021 season, saying, hey, Jaray Jenkins' numbers in 2020 were historically good. ADOT was really high, average depth of target. And that's the most interesting thing about Jaray Jenkins, especially the 2021 season. He had lost his starter's role, right? He had started dropping some passes that we did not see Jaray drop. And then Jack Bech, Deion Smith, BTJ started getting more and more reps, and Jaray was at the bottom of the depth chart. And what's very interesting is even then, Jaray Jenkins was a guy leading pregame chants. He was a guy that everyone, based on my sources, was still, people were still looking up to him. If it was a quarterback, I mean, just think about all the quarterbacks Jaray Jenkins caught touchdowns from. TJ Finley, Miles Brennan, Max Johnson, Jontre Kirkland, Jaden Daniels, and now Garrett Nussmeier in the SEC championship game. I would love to know if there is a wide receiver at LSU that has caught more touchdowns from different quarterbacks, right? So honestly, just go through the list of all the different things that Jaray Jenkins has overcome in his life, right? Personally, losing his mother, coming from small town Jenna, Louisiana, and being the player that he is now. This video is here to celebrate somebody that truly overcame some pretty big odds as a 3-star recruit who really had to wait his turn. So, my goodness gracious, I freaking love this guy. I'm going to miss him. I can't count how many different live streams I've done just, talking about how much I freaking love this guy, because, I love talking about players that truly exceeded expectations. And, for three straight years in the offseason, we were saying, well, Jaray, it's this guy or that guy. And all he did was continue to be a top 3 weapon on our team. Boom! I'm looking at you. And now you're looking at BJ Ojulari stats. Don't forget, we have the brand new PowerHourLSU.com website and get some nice, cool merch right there. Obviously, we're just growing, man. Got the free Power Hour LSU podcast, got the Patreon, all the good stuff. And now I want to talk about BJ freaking Ojulari, right? Kind of like Jaray Jenkins for 3 consecutive years, this guy just continued to play at an extremely high level. And keep in mind, the first couple of years, BJ was kind of playing out of position, right? He was playing, a 4-3 defensive end, which, as many of you know, he is more of a 2-point stance jack linebacker. And this year was the first year you really got to see him play the role that, he was, supposed to be playing this entire time. So, yeah, it's very, very interesting when you actually look at someone like BJ Ojulari, especially considering this year, the emergence of Harold Perkins opened some things up for him this year. We rushed him at a 2-point stance. We rushed him out of a 2-point stance as a 3-tech. We've rushed him with the hand in the dirt, and all this guy's done is produced. And, obviously, a lot like Jaray Jenkins, you can argue that most of the stuff BJ Ojulari did for this team was off the field. You look at some of these little things. As a true freshman, Ed Orgeron named him to the leadership council at the time, and obviously he was our SEC Media Day representative. And probably over the last 3 years, there's been no one that's had to speak to the media more than BJ Ojulari. And I know that seems like a small task, but and speaking of former players, it could be kind of tough, right? You're sitting there with all these media members, all these cameras, and you're having to speak on behalf of the entire team and the entire LSU brand. And it's going to get posted on a gazillion different YouTube channels. And all BJ did was represent us unbelievably well. And honestly, he continued to play at an extremely high level. Now, obviously, you look at, BJ, you were praying that he was going to have a change of heart and actually decide to come back next year. Obviously, he would be a big championship piece. You got to have that elite jack linebacker like Chason was for us in 2019. So filling that role is probably going to be more difficult than filling the role of Jaray Jenkins. I don't think LSU is going to want to be in a position where Harold Perkins is playing that role full time. I think they want to remain flexible with a player of Perk's ability. So, yes, it's going to be interesting, especially with Desmond Little hitting the portal. Maybe Deshaun Womack or one of these incoming guys can, step in like BJ did it as a true freshman, but that's honestly going to be asking a lot because this guy was truly an animal. And look, he had some tough moments in 2020, but, the Florida game from him, honestly, all 3 Florida games from him were actually really good during his career. Man, I just, he just had so many big moments for us. We don't win the Auburn game without him. We don't win Florida 2020, I believe, without him. I mean, that's what makes BJ and Jaray so interesting, is that you could point to so many different big second half, fourth quarter, when we really need it kind of plays, and both of them just made a lot of them. And honestly, as a representative of the number 18 uniform that Benny and Jacob Hester and all those guys wore, Trey White, Foster Moreau, obviously BJ is going to be a lot like those guys and have a long NFL career. So, comment down below your thoughts on both of these Tigers. Which one are you going to miss more? I'm going back and forth. I am always a defensive pass rusher kind of guy, but man, I loved me some Jaray freaking Jenkins. Goodness gracious. And look, I know Jaray, it would have been like his 6th year with the program if he decided to come back. So I do think, that made things a little bit easier. He wants to test to see if he'll actually, get drafted. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know what round he would actually go in. It's kind of a strange year, for receivers in the cycle. So we'll see what happens. But man, yeah, we got a lot to get to. Let's go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. So if you're watching this on the premiere, I'll be on with Blake AYS here in a second, and tonight we're doing burgers. Let's go.